Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlaque. I'm here with Scotty Hagnes. This is Conversations, Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity. Scott, how goes it?
How's it? Going pretty well.
Nice, man. I am in the midst of the rain season here in South Florida.
Ooh, that's right.
We have been getting rain pretty consistently every day for the last week or so. So it's hot weather and hurricanes from here on out. How's it on your end there,
Oh,
Scott?
man. Well, the winter finally broke, and we had a few days. In fact, yesterday, I think it was like about 87, 88.
Oh, wow.
It was a great day to be out riding and whatnot. But today it's back to, it's drizzly, cloudy, supposed to rain all weekend.
Back to business as usual.
High is, I think it's like 56 out there or something.
Yep.
So huge contrast from yesterday. But we had a few nice days, and then it looks like after this little patch, it'll be kind of nice and warm again. So
absolutely. Well, we've got a few things that on the docket here today. First things first. Last week we left you off kind of on the edge of your seat with the Masters Online Qualifier going down, and we had Mayra, who's a client of mine who qualified for the games last year and finished 5th place, basically having the flu, and everything but on death's door. Doing these qualifier workouts, she did. I think when we recorded our last episode, she had done one workout. Then she did the long workout on Saturday, which is the 20-minute one, which she did actually fairly well relative to the field. Then Sunday did 2, where she did the chest to bar clean workout, and then the handstand push-up, burpee over bar, power snatch workout. So she repeated workouts on Monday as well. She redid the rope climb workout where she improved by, I think, 6 seconds. Then she redid the chest to bar clean workout. So in 2 days, she did 200 chest to bar pull-ups. Yeah, that's some Jacob Heppner type shit right there.
yeah.
So Monday night comes along, and she actually qualified 13th and made it back to the CrossFit Games for the Masters 35 to 39. And I don't know if you got to see, aside from what Mayra did, but there was a post by Sam Briggs basically taping her elbow back together and then doing all 5 workouts, finishing, I think, 2nd overall in the qualifier, and then running and getting surgery and see if she can get back for the August Masters competition. I believe she ruptured her medial ligament in her elbow, and also fractured the bone as well. So, she gets into surgery, and she's like, all right, I'll be ready for August. So it'd be very interesting to see if she can get ready by then. But she seemed like she was pretty ready when I believe she had a rotator cuff surgery last year, and now elbow surgery this year after, I imagine it was probably doing something like snatches or jerks or something like that, where I know she has a little bit of a compromised overhead position as is, and eventually enough repetitions go by where you put so much stress on the elbow that becomes the focal point, and looks like she snapped her elbow. I don't know the exact details about the injury, but that kind of looks like one of those injuries that would be a career ender, but it looks like she might be back in August after surgery. So. What are your thoughts on overhead positions when you have some funkiness with the elbows there, Scott? Is that something that makes you cringe as much as I do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, elbow is definitely going to take a lot of extra stress. I mean, it's kind of a hinge joint. It's, problems upstream are going to show up there potentially. I think that was one of my issues between the mix of doing CrossFit and riding my bike in the earlier years. It's probably a potent combination that led to a lot of elbow issues.
Yeah. So
a lot of folks. See you, Jake. Yeah.
So
good to see you, man.
We're hoping that Sam is in good enough shape and is in enough level shape where she can come back and actually do something substantial and not have to be a shell of herself in the Masters competition. I would love to see all those Masters athletes performing at the highest level possible, so we can actually see what the best Masters athlete looks like. Something in mind that I have is that when the ladies qualify for the Masters. I think we had 2 last year who the top 2 actually went as an open competitors. This year we had Sam Briggs, Kristen Pedri, who also qualified for the games. And then Anna Tobias, formerly Anna Tunnicliffe, the 2-time gold medalist as a sailor, she qualified for the Masters, Masters 35 to 39. And then also Becca Voigt is back again. So it's very interesting to see how many of those ladies will qualify as individual competitors. I know Becca Voigt is probably, doing everything possible to try and get back to the games. Kristen Pedri has been to the games a bunch of times in a row now. We obviously know that Sam's going to be out, but Anna Tobias has been to the games consistently for the last 4 years or so. So, there's a part of me that says I hope these ladies don't qualify for the games so that we can actually see who the best 35 to 39 in the world is. Because last year, I don't think we got a true indicator because some of the 35 to 39 were actually in the games. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So obviously that becomes the back burner, and now to the forefront becomes the regionals 2018. I believe regionals in general for all areas, there are different dates for each region. Some regions are before others. The region that we're in, which is in the Atlantic, the Atlantic region. The regionals start May 18th, so that's in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and then ours is the 1st through the 3rd. But we just got an announcement from Dave Castro the other day that there is going to be a new skill element to the regionals, and that is the ramp to stair descend in the handstand walk. Scott, what are your thoughts?
Good times.
Good times.
We'll see who has practiced those skills. I know he fired a shot, and I think it was during the Invitational. But, if you're expecting to get to that level, you better be able to do more than just walk, basically. And those obstacle courses have been kind of common in gymnastics world for a while. So we'll see who's done their homework and who hasn't.
Yeah, I like it as a skill element. We'll see how they actually place it in the workout. I doubt it's just going to be its own component,
right?
Its own
They'll
workout.
Probably mix.
It's going to be something like a triplet, or maybe some kind of in between in a couplet or something like that. So you have like snatches on this side, muscle ups on this side, and to get from the apparatus.
Could be that.
You could be doing handstand walks.
Or there was one year, wasn't there, like a max hang snatch or some such?
Yes,
and then you had just a couple of minutes at the expiration of time of that, and then it was then kind of singular handstand walking.
Yep.
But, lots of things, but probably not just alone.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a pretty cool little element that they're going to be throwing in here. I doubt that it's going to be an enormous component. And the other thing that you're going to notice is that from week to week, you're going to see the athletes able to, work through that element easier and easier, just because of the number of weeks that go by and the more touches that these athletes
will get.
They'll practice it. They'll see other people doing it. They'll see the best way of doing it.
They'll see what it is exactly too.
Yes. So you're going to have people who are actually probably testing that workout with that skill element in there. I want to say Rogue Fitness is selling that element on their website.
Oh, like handstand obstacles? A ramp?
A ramp. I want to say they are. I'm not 100% sure, but...
wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, or at the very least, they'll be selling it afterwards, something like that. But, I like the skill element there. The format has obviously changed this year for the teams. We're in teams of 4 now. Two men and 2 ladies. Does that seem? Are you going to see a change in the way that the workouts go, Scott, and the flow of things? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking that they'll have a little different look and flavor to them possibly than before. Probably going to be more akin to like the Invitational.
Yep.
Which I guess is sort of mimicking that sort of thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll also be interesting to see the change of balance of power. I wonder if some of the perennial favorites may run into trouble, and there'll be easier to create a super team when you only need 4 people.
Yep. So it's almost like you'll see more super teams.
I think so, and then the combination of regions too. That will also thin down the numbers, I would think, a bit.
Yeah, and hopefully what this creates is something that's much more competitive when it comes down to the CrossFit Games, and a little bit more well-known names and teams and that kind of thing, which would again, allows better for the viewer, because at the end of the day, as much as the diehard fan enjoys to watch it, you also want to see the best of the best compete.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's kind of what the idea of these changes is to make it a little more spectator-friendly, something that fits within a very small enough area. And, honestly, sometimes with 6 people on a team, it could be a tad confusing,
Yeah.
They did better as years went on by, every 10 reps you move forward, that sort of thing. But sometimes it is still a little difficult to follow.
Agreed.
So fewer people, I think it's easier for spectators to get a
Agreed
gist of what's up.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. It's just that it's going to be a little bit more spectator-friendly. You can't rely quite as much on that one individual who's just kick-ass and can kind of take the bulk of the workload. You're going to have much more balanced teams here. So it's going to be interesting the first year that these guys and gals go at it, and then how this changes subsequently from there when they actually see what the tests look like relative to years before. Because years before, you had, there's going to be, these types of heavy events and then these types of more gymnastics, dense events. But now you're going to probably see a much more mix of the two, which means that there's going to have to be more balanced athletes, kind of like we touched on before.
Yeah, I can see that this will evolve. This year will be a bit of a learning for everybody, even the best. And then the practice and training will refine a bit as the types of tests and the type of people that excel will become known.
Yep. So we're a month out from our region now. So obviously May's right around the corner. So the season for the Masters athlete who qualified for regionals is only about halfway there. So after the Open, we had about 3 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks to prepare for the online qualifier. Now we had the online qualifiers over. We had a bit of a deload this week after Monday. Today got back into training, and now it's basically a 4-week push to see what we can do for a regional. So, just to give you some insight on what's going on and maybe pick your brain a little bit, getting some aerobic development this week back to normal. Some just row intervals with 2 minutes of moderate pacing, 1 minute of hard pacing, 2 minutes rest, a little bit of that. So we're working on higher end power output, try to build on what we've done before. At this point, some recovery work that's skill-based also, just because there's only so much time between now and then. You really can't be doing long, slow aerobic efforts other than maybe recovery sessions. Definitely getting some touches on the true form, because that's going to be an element within regionals.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to be touching that twice a week. Because there's only 6 workouts, maybe some like A1, A2, like 6, let's say workout 1, A and B, like that potentially could be, or maybe like workouts 1, 2, and then there's 7 events. But the true form is going to be probably a big element of one of the workouts. It usually is.
Yeah.
So getting touches on that, getting touches on the handstand apparatus. This year, we're anticipating maybe getting back to the barbell. So things like, clean ladders, snatch ladders.
Totally see that something like ladders, that would be likely.
Where you advance across the floor, something like that. So that's something that we're going to consider. And then just based upon what the regionals have become, just an enormous amount of density for muscle ups and handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
Both strict.
Those are deal breakers,
kipping.
And I would imagine you guys hammer legless rope climbs pretty good too.
Yeah, we got that stubby rope also. So.
Oh, yep, and the no hold on the bottom. Yeah, good. Yeah,
So
good stuff.
yeah, so I think
pretty much
the emphasis over this next 4 weeks is just hammering as much gymnastics density as we can, and then just working on aerobic power, and then just see kind of where that lands us in 4 weeks, and just be primed and ready. Luckily for us, our regional is 20 minutes away from where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in years past, again, like everything always works out the way it should. We've had, I think, Atlanta the last 4 years probably as our regional site. They run it back down at Palm Beach at the convention center. So, I mean, it's all of 20 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. So what we're planning on doing is obviously doing the workouts there and then coming back to my spot here. I have, a 2-bedroom condo. I have a hot tub in my development. We'll have the Normatex and massage therapists and the whole works here. But I think getting out of there and being able to get to a spot what's comfortable and familiar is probably going to be a good bet for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anybody going to regionals, but the last 2 years they've been a 15-minute walk from the gym where the regionals have been held.
That's right. You told me about that.
And now it's like 1,000 miles or something.
Oh, that's right. Because they combined the region. So now where is it?
We're in with all of California.
So they moved it down to SoCal.
Yeah, I forget the precise location, but it's down in SoCal. Or is it actually at StubHub? I can't remember.
No kidding. They might have moved it to StubHub, huh?
I can't remember if that's where it is, but it is. It's far away.
Wow.
Need to.
Okay, so you're gonna be watching from the comfort of your own home, there, Scott.
I will be. I won't be. Just drifting over to the Moda Center here.
Yeah, I hear you. That's a bit of a shame, but you know what? I guess we got a little bit different experience this year. From years past. But I had one more thing that I wanted to cover here today, Scotty, and this is I took a look at, or I listened to a great podcast from Joe Rogan the other day. He had this guy, Dr. Matthew Walker, who's a PhD from, I want to say, Cal Berkeley, I want to say. And he, wrote this book called Why We Sleep. And he did a great, synopsis of his book and his concepts on sleep and why we need sleep and the benefits of sleep, etc. But and I know this is an important topic that we talked about before, but he emphasized the fact that sleep is the basis of your training and your nutrition. And usually we see it as a three-way kind of everything synergistic, but he sees it more as that sleep is more of a basis for the other two. And the fact that he just threw out some crazy facts like participants in the study who had less than 6 hours of sleep were seen to basically have non-proficiency in the intelligence tests that they put them through. So people who were like, oh yeah, I don't need so much sleep, 5 or 6 hours, all I need, I'm ready to go. So it's one of those things that's like, he used the analogy. It's like having that drunk person at the bar who thinks that they can drive, and you don't know that you don't know. But, obviously you're a coach, you're a father also who's probably been subjected to less than great sleep in your time, right, Scott?
This is true. Yeah, no, I've been a huge believer in sleep for a while. And, honestly, having he's almost 5 now, so he's not little anymore. Yeah. But it wasn't horrible on my sleep. By far, the worst was kind of prior to opening the gym, and then even in the very early years of the gym when it was almost a hobby and I still had to work. 6 hours was a luxury, and it wasn't. And I knew that was not good, but I mean, I was running. I was shocked a few years ago. I look back, I have training logs, for way back, and I can't remember. I was trying to find something, and I always log in there, like how much I sleep and how good it was, and I was like 3.5 hours. And I was like, oh well, this day really sucked. And I look back, and the day before was like 4 hours, and then I look back, and the day before that was 3:45, and I was like, oh, I remembered it wasn't good, but when I look back at what it actually was, I was like, oh man, how did I ever get through that? It was terrible.
And you know, did you feel a significant change when you started getting back into a regular sleep schedule, Scott?
You know, I mean, it definitely felt nice to not be sleepy all the time or feel like I could fall asleep at a moment's notice any given time. I think any changes, you know, were slow and steady and subtle.
Yep.
But
yeah, it's not like you just
know,
woke up
I
one day
think
like,
part
oh
of
my
the
God.
reason, you know, I mean, I've seen, you know, motor learning and skills and you know, and how it really is like a 10-hour mark that you really can achieve your, you know, highest level of motor skill as an athlete.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, you know, how much did I hamper myself, you know, in my bike riding? Maybe why I feel like I still haven't fallen off really at all yet at my age is that I actually sleep. I probably average 9 hours most nights. We have a few shorter nights, but even those are still 7.5. And so maybe I'm just closer to my true potential, and it's now. Whereas I was, you know, shooting myself in the foot by never sleeping, and you know some of the other things I was doing when I was younger.
Yep.
And that's partly why I don't feel like I've fallen off, because you know I've just kind of maintained a baseline by getting better with recovery practices and those sorts of things.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I found shocking, and I kind of knew this, but like hearing it, you know, from a professional say this, but how they found in the training to fatigue tests, let's say, that they did, or exercise to fatigue tests they did on a well slept athlete versus a sleep deprived athlete. They were only 60% efficient when under rested after one night's sleep. So say you got less than 6 hours, so a suboptimal sleep versus optimal sleep, you perform 60% of what you would do if you had optimal sleep. So if you prepare, you know, if you're preparing for a 10-round fight and then you get a shitty night's sleep, you're really only prepared to do a 6-round fight. And you know, it obviously shows with some people how they never really, and this is for endurance, by the way, it shows that, you know, people who don't adapt quite as well as you would think they would in, you know, training efforts and training protocols, you can't just keep training them to death. You know what I mean? If they're not responding, I think it's very important for you to look under the hood, and I think I have a much more appreciation for that in myself. You know, just anecdotally over the last 2 weeks or so, you know, I've kind of put training on a back burner. I'm doing less than an hour of training a day, about 3 or 4 to 5 times a week, talking about like 3x3 back squat, 3x3 deadlift, and 3x3 press with the same weights every workout just to get touches on them. And then walking 20 minutes. Like that's basically the entirety of my training right now. My appetite has dropped off significantly. Like it finally has caught up to a point where I have a breakfast, I have a lunch, and then maybe a light snack for dinner, and that's it. It's really all I need. And we're, you know, I've never really experienced this because I don't think I've not been training or under some kind of significant stress, like walking across Florida for the last, too long to remember. I would say probably close to 20 years at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So this is, you know, one of those things where I have to kind of let go of what I used to do and kind of explore what this is really giving me right now to potentially see what the benefits of just training moderately, taking care of your diet, and sleeping well have the potential to do for your body in the long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know, you know, I'm trying to get my, you know, I have 30 seconds of tricks for this online contest. Yep. So I've been writing it, you know, quite a bit. I've almost done, outside of mobility work, I just this last 2 weeks in the final push, I've touched a weight. I've done nothing. I'm getting a good dose of conditioning from the writing, and you know, and when you're filming, you're going at it pretty hard. But until this last 4 or 5 days, when I've really started you know, ramping up the amount I've been writing, man, I slept great. My recovery scores were amazing. Like it's interesting how much of a deload it took, and I wasn't riding as much as I, would have liked to have for this contest, just because the weather had been so awful, and so it made it seems very similar. It was interesting how much just energy and vibrancy, and my mood was so good.
Yep.
So even when I was think I was doing a fairly low level of things, was apparently still enough to kind of suppress some things.
Interesting. So but again, like I think what we are seeing now is so many different layers to the whole training paradigm. And if you're only a coach that focuses on training programs and performance, you're missing, I would say, probably about 80% of the boat. Like I think the reason why so many athletes are able to adapt so well is because I think inherently they do all those other areas well. If this individual is doing this in the long term, you'll have a lot of people who are flash in the pan, and they're like, oh wow, I do great for 2 years, and then bam, they never progress forward from there. I would think that one of the biggest reasons why is just that recovery and sleep are just not there. You know. I mean, the more and more we understand the athlete, the better we see. And, there's graphs and stories about people like Roger Federer sleeping like 13 hours a day, and LeBron James sleeping like 10 to 12 hours a day. And like these high performing athletes are like, they've been hacking life, and getting more out of their life by sleeping more, which is kind of counterintuitive. I think there's this big, in society in general, we try to maximize every hour of every day. So we're like, oh, well, I only get 24 hours in the day. I'm going to sleep 4, I'm going to work 20. But if that 20 hours is just crap and you're just wasting your time, you're not really doing anything. So getting that good 8 hours of sleep as best as you can, and then, eating right, exercising correctly, it's a great recipe for maximizing your performance, not only in the gym, but also in your career.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's one of the things that we talk about on a consistent basis. Is not just about fitness athletes here. It's about people who are using fitness to whether it's the sport of fitness or fitness protocols to actually enhance their lives and the functionality of it, and being able to do what you want to do and go skateboard and go ride your bike and go hiking and be an active lifestyle, and in the same way use all these things that we're talking about in terms of nutrition, sleep, fitness to also be better at your everyday life as well.
Yeah. One thing to end on is, I forget where I heard this quote. It was a while ago, but something to the effect of, if you're curious what it feels like to be elderly, just go with like 5 hours sleep for a couple nights in a row, and you will feel and function pretty much as you will when you're 75.
Wow. Okay. I know how it feels to be 75 at this point, Scott.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm actually going to make a note right now also, because this episode here ends the my block of coaching where I've had to wake up at 5:25 3 days a week. So I've had inconsistent wake times over the last, since January. So January, February, March, now it's April. So 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
I will keep us up to date every 2 weeks or so to see if there's some changes in body composition, mood, cognitive function, whatever, being more consistent on a sleep schedule from here on out. So I plan on getting to bed about 9:45, 10 o'clock, and then getting up at 6 a.m., 6:30 every day. And we'll see what this does to overall performance for me going forward.
Yeah, that'll be excellent.
Yep. You got anything else, Scott?
No, I think that'll do it for today.
All right, beautiful, brother. I'm Sean LaFlock.
Yeah.
You can get me at Sean@CrossFitDelrabeach.com.
I'm Scott Hagnes. You can get me at Scott@CrossFitPortland.com.
We made it, Scott. Good work, brother.
All right, man. Good work.
I'll talk to you next week.
Yep, same. Later.
Dude.